All right, we're live. All right, stay here and listen to the Nightmares of the Sea. My name is Jack Mangan. I'm in the dark. Wow. All right. Well, I'm here in the dark. I got my buddies Rich Catino and Eric Haley is actually new to the show. Welcome to the show, Eric. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Iron Maiden expertise all around because we're talking. Well, I'll quickly introduce myself. I am the guy who's running the Am I Evil graphic novel. I've also been writing for MetalAsylum.net for a long time now, Rich. And
yeah,
also, I'm also with the Metal Hall of Fame.
It's been what, probably 15 years?
My first article, yeah, may have been that long
10-ish, 10, 12, 13, something like more than that. Probably 13, 14. Yeah.
Yeah, over 10 years. Yeah. But
Yep.
But we're here today to talk about I'm also involved with the Metal Hall of Fame, and Rich and I both write articles. One of my articles was called Rime of the Ancient Firebird. It was about listening to Rime of the Ancient Mariner in my dad's car as a kid, listening to that in his car and his brand new Firebird. So we'll get to that though. Let me have my buddies here give long introductions. We'll start with
Rich Catino from Metal Asylum, and I write for Brave Words also, and I contribute to the Metal Hall of Fame, like Jack said. And talking about your article that you have there, these articles are found under the two drop downs. One's Metal Legacy, where you'll see things about like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, all the legacy bands. And then Metal Today talks about the current metal bands from the recent 10 plus years. So that's where you find those.
That's right. We have some great ones up there. I mean, modestly,
yeah.
If I can say so modestly, we have some really good topics. And we've done a couple of live streams about some previous topics like German bands and whatnot. But yeah, this is one of them. So I won't say, yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, Rich. It's a good point.
Yep.
And then to Rich's, to your right, to Rich's left.
Eric Haley. I'm friend of Jack's, where our kids skate together, or used to anyway. And he knows me, and we talk music a lot. And he knows me to be a huge Iron Maiden fan. So that's why I think he invited me. Yeah,
no, that's about right. Yeah, I think we both heard like, wait a minute, you were at the Maiden show? No, wait, you were at the Maiden show? So yeah,
yeah.
And actually, in line with the topic, my oldest daughter was at that Iron Maiden show with me. That was her first Maiden show. So that kind of fits in with talking about Maiden and parents and kids and whatnot. But Eric, yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. Are you guys, speak of Iron Maiden, are you guys going to see Iron Maiden in the fall?
They're not coming to, at least not yet. They don't have a Southwest date, but I'm meeting a friend of mine actually in, where is it? North Carolina, one of their shows. So I'm gonna fly back east and go to that show. So,
Jack, are you going?
Nice. Yeah, I'll go when they have a Southwest date. I think they might be in California, but I'll go when they come to the Phoenix area. But yeah, I'm definitely. But you want to talk about super fan Iron Maiden nerds? Eric and I and some other buddies are going to see Bruce Dickinson's spoken word.
Oh, awesome.
So that's gonna be exciting. I'm definitely stoked for that.
Yeah,
cool.
A few weeks away.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. Good stuff. So yeah, I'm just sharing this thing around. But yeah, basically, so I'll get to sharing. But basically, the gist of the article was, and I'll tell the story really quickly. So I'll talk a whole lot, and then I'll shut the hell up, and you guys can respond. So so the story, and please do go over to the metalhallofame.org and read the article. It's called Rime of the Ancient Firebird. As Rich said, it's under Metal Legacy. But basically, as a kid, my dad he's kind of had a weird sense of humor. And my dad, basically, he actually drove this piece of crap Chevette. That was his car. You guys remember the Chevette? Is that little?
Yeah, those were our driver's ed cars.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that was his car, and he's such a no frills kind of guy. And so and my parents were split, so he would see me on the weekends. And so one weekend he said, "Hey, next time you come, I got a brand new tape deck, so just bring a tape." And I didn't know what he's talking about, so I thought about it. I looked over my tapes, and my ultimate choice was Power Slave. And he picks me up. This is kind of how far he took the joke, is he picked me up in the Chevette and drove me to where he had this brand new Firebird, and that was his new tape deck. So I subjected my dad. My dad was born in 1940, so he was not he's actually older than a boomer. So, but that generation had wanted nothing to do with it, and of course he didn't like Power Slave. He didn't like the album. He's like, this guy hollers and there's this noise, but he really got into Rime the Ancient Mariner. It ended up being like a really kind of a great memory for me, that he appreciated it. For and he even said, like, I had to read this in high school. I said, but it's cool that you guys, it's cool that these guys are singing about that. And he also was impressed that like a band did a 15-minute song, because he's like, yeah, radio would never touch this, because they got to cram in their ad dollars and whatnot. So he said, he respected that, and he also really liked Lost for Words, by the way. But yeah, Rime, that
cool instrumental.
Rime, it is. It's really underappreciated. It's really a solid song. So it's read the article. Like I'm not going to give away, but it was a big deal for me. It really was, because it's a guy who hated all my music. And that we connected over it. It was a cool thing. So all right, like I said, I'm gonna share this around. But yeah, go ahead and react, respond. Make fun of me. Whatever. It's all good.
Well, you know what this is based on. Everybody pretty much knows it's based on a poem, right?
Yeah. He was
by Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Right, the Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Yeah, exactly.
And do you know the basic premise of it?
I've read it. Yeah, I have read it.
If you don't remember, I'm actually looking at it. I'll read it to you real quick. So the title character detains one of three men on their way to a wedding feast and mesmerizes him with the story of his experience at sea, his slaughter of an albatross, which is in the Iron Maiden song. Basically, the Iron Maiden song follows the poem, and they take a lot of the words from the poem and they put it into the lyrics.
Yep.
The deaths of his fellow sailors, his suffering, and his eventual redemption.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna dust off my English degree, and I had to I didn't say I had to. That was one of the of all the Brit Lit stuff I had to read. That one actually. I was kind of glad they let me read it, because I had been a fan so much before I even knew. Probably, I'm sure when I first heard it, I didn't know it was a poem. I thought maybe Bruce, thought this up in his a fever dream or something. But there is. I remember distinctly when I first read it, and you have it in front of you, so you may be able to confirm this. There is a part in there where I thought it would have been awesome in the song, where one of the sailors, I forget if they see the ship for the first time or they see land, but he's up in like the crow's nest, and they're so thirsty that nobody can say. He wants to yell out that he sees land, he sees whatever he's looking at, and he wants to tell everybody, but he can't. There's no liquid, so he bites his own arm and draws blood in order to wet his mouth to be able to yell out, that he has this news. So I remember reading that. I was like, "Oh man, that's pretty metal." They should have worked that in, but it was, like you said, it's already a 14-minute song, so some editing had to happen. But I've always distinguished. I liked Iron Maiden because they at least some of the guys read a book. They weren't all like, and that's not to knock, let's party and get drunk and fight songs. Those have their place. Those are fine. Let's Chase Women. Those are great. But I always thought that they were a cut above, just because, they all thought about other things.
Yeah. It was storytelling, but it was also literature, and it was also science fiction. It was fantasy. It was like Judas Priest.
That album.
And Dio, a little bit of everything.
All of that. I loved all of it. But Power Slave was my Iron Maiden gateway drug. I had heard Number of the Beast. I'd heard, probably Run of the Hills, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. Power Slave got me into the band, and I never looked back. And I don't think there's a clunker on the album. I think Jack and I have talked about it. There may be one or two tracks that you're not in love with, but I think the thing's a masterpiece, and there's nothing wrong with it anyway.
I'm the same way. I can't decide if that's my favorite or Number of the Beast or Peace of Mind. It's really hard between the three of them.
Probably Power Slave, yeah, for me.
But this one too, it has two epics on the same album too, which is a rarity too.
Yep.
Right? The title track. How long is the title? How long is Rime? 14 minutes, you said?
Yeah, it's 13
something, isn't it?
13.
And
13
the title track is close to that too. I'm gonna look at my vinyl, because it has that's what was great about vinyl.
Yeah.
Because you had the time that the length of the song was, who played the guitar parts, the leads. They broke it up.
Right.
So Power Slave is almost 8 minutes long.
Right. It's a good
And
long
Rime is 13 and 45 seconds.
And 2 minutes to midnight is up there. It's over 6 minutes, I think. So
6 minutes, 4 seconds.
I mean, I think the second side's only 4 songs, right?
It's 3. It's Back in the Village.
Let's
Power
see.
Slave. Yeah.
Let's see.
It's 3 songs.
3 songs, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're right. Side. Well, you know how they listed this? It's pretty cool. This is side 1, and then it says other side.
Nice.
Back in the Village, which is one of my favorites. I would like to see them play that live.
Yeah.
And then Power Slave and Rime and Ancient Mariner, which is great because it closes it off with 2 epics on the one side. That's pretty cool.
And for what it's worth, it is my favorite Maiden album to this day. It is my favorite, and it was my first, which maybe that's a contributing factor, but it is my favorite. And actually, the Duelists, I could live without the Duelists, but the rest of the album is everything's great.
It's not bad though.
Yeah,
I think Duelist is fine, just like Gangland. Another song that people kind of throw away, which I think is fine too.
Actually, I love Gangland. Actually, so come at me.
When Adrian Smith did that guitar playthrough, did you see that? He did a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I saw that. I did.
I got a whole new appreciation again for the song when he did that. I was like, wow, that's awesome. I like the song even more now.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree.
You could do a show of I think the Duelist has one of the best opening lines. Like you could do a show of just opening the coolest opening lines. I think the Duelist has one of the best opening lyrics of almost all songs.
He threw down the glove.
Made the mistake of picking it up.
What is it?
I don't know exactly what it is. It's something like you threw down
the Duelist.
I threw down. You made the mistake of picking it up. Now you're gone. Now you're done, or something like that.
Yeah, it's hard to see because now they have this line, these lines that go, the lines that go through, and it's hard to read some of that.
Yeah, I used to read it on the cassette, which the font is probably 0.1. They're so small, but yeah, this it was so great. And Chris, you're right. I mean, I'm glad actually that you brought that up because Live After Death had an amazing version of the live version of Rime and the Ancient Mariner.
Some of those songs they become the definitive versions for me. I find myself throwing in the stage banner and stuff when I'm singing along with it in my head, like Bruce's little asides and things. I agree with that. Live After Death is sometimes they transcended the album version.
Yeah,
right.
But the album version still sounds great. It's such a great production.
Actually, an interesting factoid about me, a little trivia about me is the album version of that song. It was one of those things. I'm not even a superstitious person. I just have these little rituals when I fly. It's like, that's got to be the song I listen to at takeoff. I would listen to.
Really?
It's like, I should pick a shorter song, right? I shouldn't pick a 15-minute song, but that's that. Rime of the Ancient Mariner was. And like I said, I've kind of, last time I flew it, I didn't do it, but I mean, for a long time, it was just one of those things. And psychologists could say, so you associate that with your dad, and then you associate that with flying, but whatever. I'll leave that to that. But to me, I will acknowledge fully, it's one of those songs, even regardless of the story about listening to it, My Dad's Car, that was one time. The song still always meant a lot. It's one of those songs. It's home. I mean, because also Power Slave and Maiden, that's kind of home for a metal fan. I mean, as we were saying even before we got started, it's almost an easy topic to just say I love Maiden. It's like, well, of course you do. You listen to heavy metal, it's almost like saying, I love music and I love the Beatles. Like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of a shorthand. I'm sure. I know there are people that are the exceptions, who want to, but regardless, it's just such a powerful and safe and classic song. I mean, the musically, the musical journey of it, and and you're right, the epic storytelling of it. I mean, they, as you guys said, Iron Maiden does this a lot, but I feel like that's the best one they've ever done. I still feel like that's the best epic they've ever done out of all the ones that are entire.
And one that's based on literature or war or something like that. It's still your favorite out of everything that they've done topically.
Yeah, I was gonna say "To Tame a Land" was interesting because it was kind of almost it's a great song. "To Tame a Land" is a great song. It was on the album that preceded Power Slave was on Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind.
But it's almost like the dress rehearsal. It's almost like they did that, and they're like, all right, we can do
Yes.
this. Now let's take it up a notch. But again, To Tame a Land is great by itself.
Mhm.
But do you have a different epic that you would rate above Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Rich?
What's that?
Do you have a different epic that you would rate above Rime of the Ancient Mariner?
I don't know. I really like Power Slave. Maybe, I don't know. It's tough. Maybe Alexander the Great. I really like that one too, which I'd love to hear them play. That's always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, you can't knock that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Eric? Do you have, or are you guys out there
Yeah.
watching? We got people watching. If you have a favorite Maiden epic, feel free to chime in and let us know. But Eric, what do you think?
Power Slave for me, for sure.
Power Slave?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything about it. Story. It's the first time I noticed that like a bass guitar could be like a forefront instrument. Like you could just listen to, if you just focus on his bass work, and that blows my mind.
Especially when you watch Live After Death too. When you watch Steve's fingers.
Yeah.
For Power Slave and Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Wow. I
was listening to it today again. It had been a little bit, and I just remembered that right after the spoken word part,
right?
When they're still singing lyrics from the poem, but he's just kind of pedaling that bass, and it's just blows my mind.
Which, if you have the vinyl, it's actually in bold print, and they actually credit the writer.
Oh yeah, color for those.
Yeah. That's what's great about having the vinyl.
Yeah, I mean,
presentation of it.
You can really see the artwork. Like that was one of the first things I did when I got a new Maiden album, was just pour over the scene.
The artwork.
Who's the art? Derek. Who's the
Derek
artist?
Riggs.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but at the time when they used to put out the vinyl, they used to do posters of these things. And do you remember when they started doing these? They used to do front and back covers of Power Slave, so you could see the whole picture. Yeah. They did it with Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son.
Yeah,
it was a whole like widescreen, like you're looking at a piece of film.
That's cool. Yeah.
Big landscape shot.
In fact, actually, something I think that's absolutely relevant, and actually even ties in with the whole, parents and music thing, is so I had a small room where I was growing up. So my three big posters on the wall, all three of them were Maiden. I had other bands represented, but all three. So I had the Number of the Beast album cover. I had the Trooper single cover, which is Eddie running with the baton and the tattered Union Jack. Yeah. And then the Aces High, which I think, Rich, there's your cue.
I do. I still have the picture disc.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that one of my favorite Eddie images of all time is right there. It's that one. Yeah,
very cool. I still have that, and I have the 2 Minutes to Midnight, which is also cool artwork.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a whole wall of just Maiden posters.
And what's great about these two is, where do you see Derek Riggs' little symbol? Where do you find it?
I would always look for those.
Yeah.
Which is down there.
Yeah.
For Aces High.
So, Chris Kimball says for him, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son was the most epic. Still his favorite album by any band of all time. I got no argument with that. It's a brilliant.
It's another great epic. The title track.
Yeah, absolutely. Infinite Dreams also maybe a little bit shorter, but man, what a brilliant. Yeah. But so what's funny, again, talking about the parent thing, is that not my dad, one of my aunts is a very sweet lady. So I'm not saying this to trash her. She's a religious lady who came to visit and stayed with us for a couple of days. And when I come into my room one day and see the Number of the Beast poster is gone.
Took it?
Yeah, there's a little note on the bed, like I said, I just didn't want the devil looking down at you. So, and so she, I was going to say, she left money. She left a couple of bucks. And I, even as a teenager, I had the wherewithal to be like, okay, I'm not even mad. I went out and bought the same poster again, put it up on the wall. It's not like I put something different up, but parents just couldn't. She wasn't my parent; she was my aunt, but she still couldn't handle it. All right, I'm sorry, Eric.
That's okay. You just reminded me. I had the felt version of that, and I went to the Spencer's at Christiana Mall in Delaware, and bought a black light, and I had it mounted right above that. And I don't know if you've ever had a felt poster, but they weigh about 5 pounds. And it didn't occur to me that you could drive a nail through a poster into your wall. So I would tape it, and it would stay up for a few days, and then it would fall down, and it would just have these mounds of tape. And I was like, man, why didn't someone tell me about nails?
That's the one I had, was the felt one. Yeah, I didn't have the black light.
That's classic. Like, I could see how, and I mean, not to get away from Power Slave, but talk about imagery, like Eddie, marionette controlling the devil. That was just like, I could see why your aunt may have I may have tried to save your soul.
Yeah, Numbered Beast was pretty scary. Even Killers too.
Yeah, Killers is probably the most rated R of all the Maiden posters. I mean, really, it's pretty brutal. Yeah,
but a great way to get attention for the band. A statement, an artistic statement for your album title.
I mean, Eddie will always be the #1 mascot. I will. I'll stand by that statement.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the door? Do you guys remember the door posters that they did for this? Remember the door ones that would be the length of an entire closet door?
I would have had that.
It was Eddie and the mummy, the bandages, and he was breaking through. He was ripping through the door, which looked very cool. You remember that?
No.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I got to see if I don't know if I still have that one. I still have a lot of my posters, but I don't think I have that one. But it was a full door size, and it was him, and it really looked like he was like ripping out of the door. Pretty cool.
I had the T-shirt of Mummy Eddie. So I did have that. But I don't. That's cool. But I don't know. Did you guys ever run into any kind of like either negative or surprisingly bond? Like I said, I was surprised. That's the main reason why I wrote the stories, because I mean, it was I feel like it's a good story. But I mean, you guys ever run into that where like your parents are like, well, hey, this is actually pretty good, and you're like, what? Or the classic story that all metalheads of the 80s had, where their parents are saying like, shut off that noise, it's just screaming and yelling. Like, listen to good music. Perry Como is good music. This is garbage.
My mother actually was a rocker. I mean, she didn't mind anything that we were blasting out of our rooms. My dad, similar to maybe yours, was he was a car guy actually. So he would have loved riding around in the Firebird, and he had muscle cars and all kinds of stuff. But it was country all the way. And it wasn't even like country pop that I could maybe like get through. It was just like sitting on a porch in Appalachia, it's just like, Dad, I can't. So he never understood. He never understood my, I had hair down to my waist, and he never, it was a constant. He was an old Marine. So it was just like, it was a constant battle. But my mom was just like, hey, that sounds cool. I like that. Cool. And I never got any pushback from like lyrics or anything. Like we were the house that you could come over if the neighborhood kids wanted to say cuss words in front of a parent. Come to my house. My mom doesn't care.
That's cool. What about you, Rich? You have any recollections?
My parents didn't get it. They were afraid of it, somewhat, but they supported it because they were able to realize that it was just music and it wasn't influencing me in a bad way, and I was a good kid, so they let me get the records, like with my allowance. That's how I got all these, all the vinyl. And I used to see them at the store. They used to sell them, the different record stores. They even used to have it at I want to say Pathmark, right? Didn't they used to sell records at Pathmark? Or
I think they did, yeah. That's going way back.
I forgot a couple of the stores there used to be around, but I used to see the covers, and that's what made me start buying them. I didn't even know what really heavy metal was much, aside from like Led Zeppelin and a few bands like that. But I seen all these covers in the store, then I was like, oh, I gotta, check this out. And that's what really, and MTV, of course, too. When this is Power Slaves 84. Before that, you got MTV was what, 82, 81?
Yeah, and I saw the Trooper. I saw the Trooper video. That's the first time I heard Maiden.
So did I. But I think even before that, of course, there was, Motley Crue, Looks That Kill, and Dokken, Rat, those bands. They were playing those videos. A couple Van Halen's, of course. Well, '84 was after that, Panama. But yeah, that whole time period, MTV. That's how I get exposed to this kind of music too. So it was helpful knowing the kind of music, the sounds of it, and everything by seeing it there, and then seeing the records at the stores and picking them up.
Actually, all of us. I don't know if you even saw this down in Maryland, Eric, but I used to see the albums at Bradley's. I used to get
Bradley's. That's the other
Bradley's.
one. I couldn't think of it. Yes, it was Pathmark and Bradley's, and there was another store that was like Bradley's that used to sell them too. Yep.
Yeah. In fact, I used to get my KTEL Masters of Metal tapes from Bradley's.
I still have my Masters of Metal. I got the vinyl though.
Nice.
That was a cool one.
And Chris says his mom was the same, but she bought him Alice Cooper tickets on his 14th birthday for the Constrictor tour. That's awesome. My mom actually for years, every year, I'd make my Christmas list as a kid. I'd always ask for Suicidal Tendencies albums. She'd always say, "I'm not going to get you Suicidal Tendencies albums." But then I think she thought the Feel Like Shit Deja Vu was the funniest album title. So she actually one year broke down and got me that one. But, this was the era of the PMRC. And this is the era when Judas Priest had to go to court to defend their lyric, defend themselves and say, we didn't encourage these kids to commit suicide. I mean, it's a tragedy, but, it's a shame. The real shame is that it turned into that circus. I mean, and of course it was ridiculous. And, Kuda's Hook and Mouth is the great Megadeth song about the PMRC taking control. But the PMRC, I think no one looks back and says, "Oh, that was a really good thing." I mean, we all recognize that it was overreaching and ridiculous, and just parents being afraid of Dungeons and Dragons and heavy metal. I mean,
nobody knew about it at the time. It was so new, so it was scary, right?
Right.
And if anything, it probably helped. It helped,
the sales and the
exactly. Yeah. And I think when they trotted out, who testified at those hearings? It was Dee Snider, I think Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And I think all the legislators kind of thought these guys were going to be idiots, but they were well spoken and articulate, and it kind of backfired on them. I think.
Right.
Speaking of the Master of Metal, I had to look it up, guys. I forgot how great that's another one of those albums that got me into these kind of bands. But Iron Maiden, they are on it. Do you guys remember who's on it?
No.
Little quiz here. Do you know who's on that compilation?
Masters of Metal. The first Masters of Metal, I remember was Black Sabbath. I think Trash.
Yep. That's how I got into them from that. Yep. Go ahead.
Kiss, Lick It Up was one of them.
Yep.
Dancing in the Streets of all the freaking Van Halen songs. Tom Sawyer Live, which was pretty killer. Right. Triumph was on the cassette. I don't know if they were on the vinyl. Triumph had a World of Fantasy.
There's a Dawkins song on there.
That's right. Breaking the Chains.
Yep. Which Iron Maiden song is on there?
Run to the Hills, of course.
Trooper.
No. All right, I had a different one then.
That's on the tape version. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I had the tape. All right, I'm a huge nerd. I'm gonna stop.
That's awesome. There's a Rainbow song on there. There's a Zebra.
Oh yeah, Street of Dreams was on there. Yeah, and that's
Twisted Sister, Dio. This was a great introduction to heavy metal at that time. Great.
Yeah, I'm spoiler. I'm plotting a future article about in a tribute to the KTEL tapes. They did everything. You could have gotten country, KTEL country, KTEL disco, but whoever made the compilations they knew what they were talking about in the metal world.
They did. What about Twisted Sister? Do you know what song that was?
Well, they were on every one I had. They had a different song. I think that one was "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll."
Yes, that's my favorite. Still my favorite to this day.
Yeah. By the way, just floating our own boat, we talked to JJ French about 2 months ago, which was cool. I mean, cool as hell, an awesome guy. And we got to talk to him a little bit about about that album But yeah, the KTEL Masters of Metal tapes and I guess records or whatever, those were amazing. I mean, it's an obsolete thing now, but they were amazing for us 80s kids. Some of us at least.
Yep. And there's another one actually that I've never seen this one before. You guys know there's another one?
I had White Hot. Is that the one?
So wait, this one's got the Trooper, right? Then you got Scorpions, No One Like You. There's a Gary Moore song, Back on the Streets.
Wow.
Motorhead, Saxon, Rockin' Again. You remember this one?
I didn't have this one. No.
I don't remember this one. Sabbath, War Pigs, Rush, Spirit of Radio, Bon Jovi, In and Out of Love. That's good.
That's a good
I love
mix.
those. You know I love those first two albums. Judas Priest, Deceiver, Manowar, Metal Days, Whitesnake, Fool for Your Lovin'. And this is the original version because you remember this is early 80s. Before they re-recorded it for what's the album? The 89 one with Steve Vai. So it's great.
The Whitesnake,
wow.
the self-titled.
This is a cool one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, this was a tangent, but it's a fun tangent. But yeah, I loved those tapes. Again, they were tapes for me, and that's that is the one thing. Well, there are lots of problems with cassettes, but one of the major things is buying Iron Maiden albums. I mean, you can't. How can you possibly see all the detail on the Power Slave album cover on a little tiny cassette? There's so many little Easter eggs and hidden treats on that album cover. It's Eric Riggs,
especially on Power Slave. If I remember correctly, it's hard for me to see it here, but didn't it say? Yeah, Slip of the Tongue. That was the Whitesnake album. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, I thought it was a self-titled.
I think you can see in the poster version of this, but it does say Indiana Jones was here, doesn't it? If I remember, on the poster version of Power Slave, you can see that.
Yeah, and R2D2 and C3PO are on the somewhere on the pyramid.
Really?
If I remember correctly.
I don't remember that.
There's got to be
that was in the actual movie. That was in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, am I getting my stuff?
Yeah, they're part of the hieroglyphics in there. If you got it like.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a Reddit or something out there that has all the Easter eggs on. Because you're right, as you mentioned, Somewhere in Time, it's also loaded with Easter eggs and references. And
loaded with Iron Maiden songs.
Yeah.
The street signs and everything.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the first album.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, cool. I don't know. I mean, you guys, like I said, I mean, I would encourage you if you're a Maiden fan, or even if you're not. I mean, I'm proud. This is probably my best article that I've posted, or it's one I'm proud of the most, because also it's a very personal one for me, and it tells a pretty personal story. But I think, hopefully people can relate, because we all had those experiences where our parents either hated the music, or I actually, going back to Masters of Metal, this popped into my head as you're just saying this. I remember playing that, and I remember my mom who hated this music kind of going like, yeah, it's all right. Like she's kind of like dancing around while I'm playing like the Kiss song on the album. I was like, and as a kid, I was so offended. I was like, wait a minute, you're supposed to hate this. What's going on here? But
your article was well written. It was well done.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
And what's cool too is you picked a song that actually returned to their set list too, and they did the what was it called? Somewhere Back in Time. Remember they brought back Rime.
Like a decade ago, wasn't it? They toured the whole like World Slavery Tour, or
it was that combined with Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of a little bit of both.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did a lot of actually they stopped at Seventh Son. Like they wouldn't go anything more current than
that was the next tour.
Oh, you're right.
Which they revisited, and they called it Maiden England again, like they did back then, but they changed the set list a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I was there for that.
The original Seven Sun tour, which I saw. Did you guys see that one?
I saw that one.
That originally they played Infinite Dreams, Still Life from Peace of Mind, and they did Killers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first Maiden show was actually for No Prayer for the Dying. Actually, I didn't see them until No Prayer, which in retrospect was not the best set list. They cut Aces High, they cut a lot of songs, but I mean, still, it's a Maiden show. I mean, even a bad Maiden show is an amazing Maiden show. But when they did the retro tours have been incredible. I hope, I mean, retirement can't be that far away. So I hope that they do one more of the retro tours.
Hopefully, we get one more, right?
Yeah,
maybe that should be another topic, right? Because I have my whole dream set list already planned out. So,
yeah, no, I mean, of course, for me, Rime is absolutely most of the Power Slave album is on my dream set list, honestly. But yeah, absolutely, Rime would absolutely be there, because it's incredible. It's an incredible piece of work, and it did inspire me to read the poem. I actually was not assigned the poem. I'm that nerd who went and read the poem, but I was inspired by Maiden to read it. So there you go.
I prepared for a Bill Lit exam by just listening to the song on the way to class that night, and as you might expect, I didn't do very well if that was the extent of my studying.
That's funny. So you should have like played the song as part of your response. But all right. Well, I mean, I don't have anything much. I mean, of course, I can talk all night about this, but I think I'm comfortable to say you guys give your parting shots about the song and Maiden or whatever, life in general, and we'll plug it.
Let's do a topic on our Iron Maiden Dream Set list next.
Yeah, I would like that if people are interested. Yeah, I think that would be a good one, because I mean, Iron Maiden again, how many albums and songs? I mean, what a great legacy. You can even pick your favorite Bruce solo songs if you really want to get ambitious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Rich, Eric, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah, Eric, thank you.
Thank you. It was fun. It was good talking to you guys.
All right. We'll go offline, but thank you guys for watching. And
yes. Thanks, guys.
We're back on track, so we'll be back soon. All right. The tale goes on and on and on, right? That's how it ends. All right. Good night.